This is General Lew Wallace. I believe that's his name. He was a Union. Oh, thank you so much, Geek Flag. Happy Easter, eggheads.
Right,
Funny
right.
man.
Oh, I just realized that my chat here is not up to date. So there we go. He says, "Happy Easter, eggheads."
Yes.
See, that is the toll to troll. You can call us eggheads because he gave us
Because
$5.
you
Actually,
pay the toll, you get the troll.
I think you overpaid. I take egghead for almost nothing.
Yes. But this is General
I
Lew
kind of
Wallace.
resemble that remark.
Now, he was a Civil War general
Mm-hmm.
and Union side, I believe. But he also wrote a book called Ben-Hur, subtitle A Tale of the Christ. This was
You know, Big Al was already way ahead of you. He knew as soon as he saw the picture what you were getting at.
very, very popular American novel in the 1800s. Just hugely popular. I think he started out writing this because he wanted to do a book like The Count of Monte Cristo. If you've seen the book, or maybe like
Sure.
me, read the
Mhm.
movie, or sorry, if you've, I think I said read the movie, read the book, or seen the movie.
Mhm.
Count of Monte Cristo. It's all about a man getting revenge by a friend that betrayed him, right? And he sort of wanted to do the
Mhm.
same thing over again, but this time it's taking place in biblical times, actually during the time of Jesus, actually when he was, you know, uh, you know, like the first 30 years AD, I think, right? And what's interesting is this book was a huge seller, and I think he started out writing this book, and he didn't start out as a Christian, but when he was
Mhm.
finished writing the book, he declared himself a Christian, and he said he didn't
Interesting.
claim a denomination, but he says that I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, and that's how he left it. Isn't that interesting? So
That
through the
is.
process of writing the book, he gained faith. I thought that was interesting. Watching now, took break for intermission for this good old days. Oh, you're watching Ben-Hur now. It's
Nice.
funny. I did watch it
Nice.
over the last couple weekends. I figured we're just going to treat this as a two-part movie. We'll watch the first part the one week, the next part the next week.
Yeah, it
This
is a
is
chunky
made in the
film. Yeah.
19th. Of course, let me go over this a little bit. Ben-Hur, though, hugely popular book, became a hugely popular stage production in the late 1800s. Did you know this?
Gosh, I can only imagine how they staged that. That
They
must have been
had
pretty
horses
amazing.
and chariots on the stage.
Yeah. Stage plays used to be pretty grand things. Yeah.
Elaborate. So I can only imagine what that experience was like. But we got the silent film a while later, actually directed by Cecil B. DeMille. There are a few urban
Hmm.
legends about the silent version of Ben-Hur, which you can look up later. But basically in the 50s, though, we started getting epics, and some of them were biblical, not all, but a lot of them were. Like Quo Vadis was another one. That was about the early days of Christianity during the time of Nero.
Yep.
And of course, Nero was not a nice guy.
No, he didn't care for the Christians. He didn't.
No, he wanted. I love in the movie. He says, "We're going to burn down Rome so I can create Neropolis, a new city." And he's like, "When are you planning to do this?" Oh, it's already started. And then I guess the centurion breaks, and you see the city on fire. And I thought, oh, here's where they're going to do the intermission, and it didn't have an intermission. I'm like, you need intermissions in movies this long. That was a long movie. This is
Yeah.
before they
Yeah.
understood we need intermissions. But apparently, Quo Vadis, they had a ton of these Roman outfits left over, and they're like, what are we going to do with all these costumes? And then someone said, why don't we remake Ben-Hur? And so now we have Ben-Hur. This came out in 1959. In my opinion, this is like the big culmination of 1950s cinema. This is because they really were pushing. You have to say, in the 1950s, there was this invention that started making into people's homes. It was called a television set.
Yeah.
Movie studios were terrified. They're like, who's going to come out to the movies now? They can just stay at home and watch movies on the TV. So then they decided we're going to start making movies grander. We're going to have widescreen movies that go around all around the cinema. My dad used to tell me stories about going to some of these theaters. They were very impressive.
Must have been like the IMAX of its day.
Basically, yeah. Kind of. If I had to compare it to something modern, I would do it like that. Yeah. And the idea is color film, because televisions weren't color yet. Technicolor, they really were pushing it. Musicals were big. A lot of big Rodgers and Hammerstein's productions going on the big screen, but also a lot of epics. And epics took on many forms. You had like the Ten Commandments. You had Spartacus. Remember Spartacus?
Oh yeah.
You had Giant, which was an American epic, so it wasn't a biblical epic, but it still had that epic feel. It took place in, I guess, the West. So Leslie Nielsen was considered for Masala early on. Did screen tests. I think he would have been good as Masala, but I love the actor they picked. But let's get into this. This has been her came out. Here we have, to the left, we have Ben-Hur, played by Charlton Heston. To the right, we have Masala. I forgot who played him. It's interesting. They got an Irish actor to play him, to play
Mhm.
Masala. A big thing with this production is they had to shoot portions of it in England. You know what the rule is when you shoot in England. You got to hire British actors. So they cast all the English as Romans, and all the American
Right.
actors were Hebrews. You understand?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So and that's sort of where we got the thing of, oh, the English always play villains. Well, it's always because you have to hire English when you made movies, on sets over there.
That's a great point.
So
Yeah.
they wouldn't
Exactly.
give them the leading roles, but they would still give them speaking roles. So they would get the
Right.
villain roles. That's where a lot of that
Right.
comes from. Even when you look at Star Wars.
I was just gonna say with Star Wars though, it's true. You had all the villains had British actors, but then again, so did Obi-Wan
So did
Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. So you could take it. Maybe
And
this is the old Empire Republic. That's the accent they had over
and
there.
if you pay attention, Leia affects a British accent when she
Yes,
is behaving in her official capacity.
that's true. That's true. But this is, of course, kind of starts out as a revenge story. These are boyhood friends. I don't know if this is mentioned in the movie, but I believe in the book at least. I think Ben-Hur had saved Masala from drowning. Ben-Hur is a very, I want to say he's almost an aristocrat among the Jews in Judea. They call him like a prince of Judea. I don't think he's like an official prince, but he's treated like one, right?
Right.
And this is his best friend from childhood, a Roman. And he comes back as a tribune and to take over the tribune, and he asks, how can I, what the Jews want of us Romans? What can we do? And he says, leave Judea. Remember that? That's what he said. And of course Tiberius was emperor at the time. He was not such a nice guy.
Right.
And but you know Ben-Hur, he doesn't believe in violence. He says, "I don't believe in having my citizens, attacking Romans. We don't. You shouldn't do that." But he also thought the Romans should leave. This is their country. You're kind of
An
being
invader.
oppressive to
Yeah.
them. Yes. So eventually, Masala gets angry because Ben-Hur won't out people that were speaking out against Rome. So their friendship kind of dissolves, and then the new governor shows up, and the new governor shows up, and Ben-Hur and his younger sister are looking from atop the roof down at the new governor coming. His sister kind of presses on one of the tiles. It's loose, comes loose, hits the ground. The governor's horse neighs. The governor falls over and hits the wall. Uh, Judah Ben-Hur is basically like, I'm not gonna, I'll take responsibility for this. And the soldiers show up at the house. He says, look, it was an accident. The tile was loose, and they still arrest him, and they arrest his whole family, even though he was the one taking the blame. He's saying, look, at least leave my mother and sister out of this, but they won't do that. And he pleads with Masala, saying, the tiles were loose. And Masala actually goes up to the roof and actually sees for himself that the tiles were loose. So
Yeah.
Masala could basically, absolve Ben-Hur of this crime because he had the proof. But Masala instead decides, no, I'm going to send you to the galleys and leave your mother and sister in prison because
Yeah.
people will see that and they'll fear me. If I could take my childhood best friend and turn him into a slave, no one will dare stand against me. So a big betrayal, right? Remember that?
Absolutely. But that's what makes for great stories like this.
Yeah. So he's the big antagonist of this, and here he is. And this is interesting. I mean, I missed the part, but while he's on the road, almost dying of thirst. And all the slaves, the Romans are drinking for the water, and then the slaves finally get to drink water, and the one Roman guard says, "None for him." No water for him, and he's on the ground. He's and he's calling out, "God help me!" And then, of course, someone comes over and gives him some water. And do you remember who that was?
I do not
It was
actually.
Jesus. Jesus is there. You only see him from the back. You don't see his face. And he hands him
Oh,
water, and then the Roman soldier says, "No water for him." And Jesus just kind of stands up and looks at the Roman guard, and the Roman guard just kind of backs off. like not really. They
Yeah.
they don't even say anything. It's just that's enough of the scene. But he still ends up getting into a Roman galley, and there's this great scene with the galley ships fighting pirates from Macedonia who are raiding Roman ships, and Ben-Hur actually saves the I guess the Roman admiral here, or the general, whoever's in charge of the fleet. He saves him from drowning, and and so he actually believes Ben-Hur's story about not killing his not trying to assassinate the
Attacking.
Roman
Yeah.
governor, and
Yeah.
pleads before the emperor, look, this man's innocent, I'm sure of it. So the Tiberius says, look, since it's kind of odd that he would save you but then attack the governor, says I'll leave him to you to do with what you will. He's your property now. So,
Yeah.
and eventually I think he adopts him as his son, giving him his freedom. So, but in the meantime, he trains as a charioteer. I'm kind of reiterating the whole plot. And he finds out from this Arab merchant that
This
Masala
this is where you need the trigger warning or the cultural whatever,
what
right?
culture or whatever. I don't think anyone in this movie is treated with disrespect. Even the Romans are more nuanced than you think they'd be. You figure, oh, the
No,
Romans
you
are
you
just
put
evil.
you put makeup on somebody to make them darker to play a different
Ah,
ethnicity, and all of a sudden, everyone loses their minds.
I know. It's like I was having I'm not going to say who I was having an argument with, but there's this movie. There was the movie called The Wind of the Lion, where Sean Connery plays
Uh huh.
an
Yep.
Arab from the Middle East who falls in love with
Right.
the American woman. And I was trying to explain, look, they really originally wanted Omar Sharif, but he was busy. They were going to pick
Yeah.
a man of Egyptian descent, but they couldn't find it. It's not like they were purposely trying
Yeah.
to exclude people. Never mind. You know what I'm saying. But there are snowflakes here. Trigger warnings not
There are
necessary.
no snowflakes here, Troy. Trigger warnings are not necessary. I'm just saying that I could see someone making that argument so that every physical media and every stream of this would have to have the warning.
I don't know
That's
that.
what they do these days.
I don't know that Charlton Heston was of Jewish descent. I don't. Maybe he was. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. I know that the actor playing Masala was Irish. He wasn't Italian. So it's
I know
it's movies.
none of them were, but boy, you darken someone's skin so they could play a different ethnicity, and suddenly everyone loses their minds.
No one rose a ruckus with Alec Guinness made to look Arabic and Lawrence of Arabia. That's another epic movie that I really need to watch. That was always my dad's favorite. I always meant to watch it, but Lawrence of
I have heard people talking about
yes,
it now, though,
yeah,
David. Yeah.
Huge deal. Big influence on Steven Spielberg. Actually, he was a huge fan of that movie growing up.
Wow.
I want to make a point that I don't know if we have this habit of looking at older movies and thinking, oh, these are cheap or they didn't have the budgets they do now. This thing had a budget. These chariot races,
Uh
there's
huh.
no green screen, or back then they just would have had a film projector behind him. Everything is being shot in real time. So
Wow.
him and Masala have the chariot race, and I'm not going to go. I'm not going to try to spoil it more, but this was a grand production. Look at this widescreen too. This scope widescreen. This is wider than like the scope widescreen we have now. It was truly when you were at a theater. I think it would almost wrap around half the theater when you saw it. Uh, but brilliant production, classic film. Look at that though, and
Yeah.
it's really intense. And you're basically seeing a race in real time with horses. It's like because in ancient Rome they had the chariot races. So yeah. So I don't know. You've seen Ben Hur, right?
I have. In
Okay.
fact, I think I saw it on Big Al Presents
Yes, I
channel
think we did.
one
Yeah.
time.
But it's really interesting. It's a story about revenge. I would argue, though, in some ways, he doesn't really get revenge per se. I think Masala gets hoisted on his own petard in this. He's the one that's acting inappropriate in this race. He
Right.
basically has a Greek chariot with like spikes on the side that can destroy other chariots. It's
Yeah.
but anyway, though, I don't know. I was watching the last couple of weeks. I just remember this being an Easter favorite, along with the Ten Commandments, and there are other movies too that get shown too. Like Greatest
Sure.
Story Ever Told was another one. So was King of Kings. That's another one they used to show a lot.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, Ben Hur though, this might be my favorite of all the big biblical epics. My favorite out of epics in general, though, that might go to Spartacus. I do love Spartacus, but yeah. Um, great classic movie. And I don't know, I kind of look back at the 1950s. It's not necessarily my favorite decade for cinema, but when you look at the techniques they were using film wise, the Technicolor, the widescreen, I don't know if they had quite started with stereo sound yet. I know that began with Walt Disney's Fantasia, but I don't know how much it was adopted. But I imagine these theaters must have had halfway decent sound systems. I, I I think sometimes we look at the past and thinking, "Oh, this stuff's out of date." But I think if we were living there, this stuff would look very state of the art, maybe even better than what we get now. I don't know, but
They did grand films, and they wanted to present them in the most grand fashion.
and they all right. But that was Ben-Hur, classic, and you should
Great
watch
movie.
it.
Yeah.
Watch it.
Happy Easter, everyone.
It's got a great Blu-ray release too. I think I have the DVD instead of the Blu-ray though, which was made by Warner Brothers, so I'm sure it's falling apart as we speak. Anyway,